If you were on the internet in the mid-2000s, specifically on music forums, perhaps you would remember vflaw.net, specifically the band Vincent Flaw. Now, vflaw had a bunch of different members, but primarily consisted of Mike Diva and Max Jing. They also did film and had a lot of short films that were quite successful. I met them at the Crest Theater in Sacramento when Ian introduced me to them. They were having MapQuest premiered on the big screen. They continued to have a bunch of short films that were quite successful, and a self-titled EP along with the vflaw.net music forum. They gathered quite a lot of fans, and I think at one point was at least 1,000 members. I booked them for a gig once, and Max told me, basically passed me the torch, to continue on and keep the scene alive, which is what I'm doing now. Most of the time it was Mike and Max. Let's say I'm working with G Is Us, which is a San Francisco hip-hop group comprised of MC Snack Time and Richie from Switchy. I wound up meeting them all at the local shows. Sometimes Richie would perform with V-Flaw. I also met Lucas, aka NEDM, and OMFG Stevie. It was super cool, and Richie said he's going to collaborate with me soon. Hopefully he does. Now, they were all inspired by Mindless Self-Indulgence, which I wound up listening to and thought they were pretty good as well. They gave Mike the opportunity to direct the music video for Mark David Chapman, which he did at Club Retro. Since Jimmy and friends had opened up the door for young Mike Dahlquist, he eventually moved to L.A. as Mike Diva and now does films and are quite successful. He even works with the Saturday Night Live cast and crew, and recently made the commercial for Devil May Cry 5. Now, around the time of vfall.net, the Squish Squash Squad was formed, and most of the members were both on vfall.net and members of the squad. I was the administrator and ran the MySpace, and also participated on the forums. Most people would remember me because of the meme that I created, which was me with a mohawk, but I put water, and the water kind of splashed on my shirt, and everyone was wondering what was the stain on my shirt. It was water, but somehow became a meme. I released a few albums on the website, FL Studio, one being called Synthetics, and the other one being called Shirt Stain. I performed at many events, from local house shows to local venues. I was even offered a record deal when I was 21, but turned it down because it didn't include my friends Michael and Jared. When I was 23, I was self-published on UC Berkeley's radio station and sold 1,000 copies from the streets of San Francisco and Berkeley and made over $10,000. By the time I was 26, I performed at a music festival with T-Pain and Suicidal Tendencies with over 12,000 people in attendance. Now I'm ready for the main stage and to eventually headline music festivals. That's coming quite far from somebody sitting at their computer with MySpace and FL Studio. And I'm super happy for everyone else that has also reached that level of success, and I hope that everyone reaches their desired level of success. Anyways, the squad was founded by Spratsaman, the frontman of the Bulgarian Nintendo punk band called Electric Dragon. They are headlining music festivals and have a new album coming out with 2 new music videos. One that I am actually in. I'm not supposed to tell anybody anything about it until it's released, but I can mention that I am the bartender in one of the scenes. He was also on the first episode of the Rainbow Family Podcast. The Rainbow Family Podcast, the RFP, was beloved by many and had dozens of episodes. It was very successful, and if anybody could find the entirety of this series, that would be amazing. Put it up on YouTube. It's a great show made by Mr. Grape from the Grape Kool-Aid Experience. Now, Mr. Grape kind of up and disappeared. The last thing he did was Doppelgangers with Spratzman, and then his Function Creep side project. Being the Canadian that he is, he somewhat disappeared, and lots of people are trying to find him. Hopefully he returns to the cyberwebs and still makes music. Now, there was plenty of mindless self-indulgence-inspired groups and all kinds of people that had similar, if not blendable genres. And everybody that I'm about to list has worked together at least once. There's some connection between everyone I'm about to mention. Most of the time it was collaborations. Now we had 8-Bit Suicide, aka Antron 2600. Anthony Vingas is now a father and is coming out with a new album. He told me he's willing to collaborate on some new Squish Squash Squad material. However, he's probably busy at the moment, and hopefully he has some free time, and we can have some, and we can look forward to his new album and a new Triple S collaboration. Then we have Not Really Jamie, James McClanahan. Now you'd probably remember him as Poop from vflaw.net. He was also Rainbow Bell for a moment. He's doing pretty good. Released an EP called Dracula recently. You find him on SoundCloud. And he should be on the new collaborations. Also, John Beavier, or John with the oven on. Hopefully, I pronounced his last name correctly. You'll find him on Facebook doing live drawings nowadays. He had KWA and then also the various endeavors. Then we have Eat Babies, or the question mark at the end, with Debbie Sparkles and Devin Cumdix. There may be other people from the band. However, the Canadians, I think from the other side of the country, disband. The Canadians disband, and now Debbie Sparkles, who I'm hoping to have a response from soon on Facebook, is working with a new lady in a group called Black Squares, but it's actually called Black Dresses. And they've released a few new albums since 2018. They even released a new album recently, so check them out. Then we have Matthew Helpner from 120%. Says you're going to explode. He released a new album recently, and I talked to him on Facebook. He's probably going to collaborate with us. Hopefully, everyone, as many as we can, we'll hit a super awesome song together. Then we have the other Matthew, and I don't remember how to pronounce his last name, but he's Bubblegum Octopus. He's probably still doing tours and making a living off of his music and gathering a loyal fan base and a lot of followers. Then we have Raggedy Angry, which I hope is still around. The last album they had was a few years ago. Then Assassins. They're pretty cool. I did a show with them in Glendale once. It was totally worth it and was super awesome. I had traveled from Sacramento all the way to LA and no plans on where I was going to stay. Fortunately, a couple brought me in that was older than me, and we stayed up all night talking, and then they paid for me to have a room at the motel and for breakfast, and Raj Rock, the lead singer, gave me $60 to pay for a night at the motel, and then I caught the train and headed home on that Monday. Roger, nowadays, they had the Pwn album, which was super popular on MySpace, and then the follow-up was School of Schizos, which was not as popular. Now Roger's doing his own thing, Roger, his single act, and lots of karaoke. Then we have Uncle Outrage. Nils still owes me an interview for the podcast, for the Squadcast, and they're one of the bands that I totally think deserve to be, super successful, headlining music festivals and stuff, or at least on the main stage. Nils told me that his song, Stay Magical, has actually saved people's lives. Satan shall be saved, bro. Then we have Retardobot, which was Retardobot 2000 until they became Retardobot, and then now it's Peter Pepper on his own. Then Foxy Shazam, which I think are still around. Their members have changed over the years. They're actually super successful and have a pretty big fan base. Then we have Tubbering. They are still performing live. Button Mashers, I would like to find them again. Computer and 8-Bit Weapon are still active. I'd like to get a hold of them, however. The Scare Bears are also MIA. The Gothsicles are still performing. And then 8-Bit Bullshit, who I don't actually remember the name of the guy who made the group. He was one of my faves. Then you had White Guys Jumping. Cam and Clark now has the Cam and Clark show on YouTube. And I'm hoping they come up with some White Guys Jumping. I hope they come up with some new songs. Also, one other honorable mention is Dan Perozzi. I hope I pronounced his last name correctly. He was Rainbow Jump Orchestra. He moved to Seoul, Korea a few years ago, actually. Anyways, all these great bands, all in one place. Now, the last album Vincent Flaws actually released was the split EP with Romek and the Space Pirates, which, last time I heard, they're doing music in South America. Now, you'd probably ask, where did all these people come from and what inspired them and influenced them to become the musicians they became? We all have one thing in common, other than mindless self-indulgence. Nine Inch Nails is definitely an influence. I've seen them live. Actually, Trent Reznor seems to sing with his eyes closed all the time. You could look it up. My friend Ian said that Trent would actually give away a lot of his music that he made, the files of it, for people to make remixes and whatnot. So they definitely had a big influence on a lot of the industrial musicians coming up in the mid-2000s that had probably grown up hearing them on the radio or in that one movie. Other group that you may have heard of, Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids. Now, they're not anything important, but they happen to give Nine Inch Nails that launch pad that they needed to basically outdo them by 10 times the popularity and success, because back in the day, they would have them open for them. A fellow group that also would be a big inspiration and influence that is shared amongst the people would be Tool. Ian was the one who showed me Tool, and kind of like Slipknot, I kind of wished I'd listened to their music sooner. Turns out I'd heard their music, but kind of like Godsmack, I didn't know it was them until I figured it out. And also, a lot of the members tend to be juggalos. I myself am a juggalo, making us big fans of Insane Clown Posse. They are totally underground. And it all originates from Pink Floyd. Now, Pink Floyd's been around since at least the 1960s. And they originally got their name by a group called the Pink Teacups and a person whose name was Floyd. I don't remember the full name. Now, all the people I've mentioned could all lead their connections of inspiration and influence directly to Pink Floyd. Hence, the album cover for the Best of VFlaw.net. There's, I think, 15 to 20 songs on the album, and it was comprised of most of the people I'd mentioned, all the main members of the group. It was a super good album then, and it's a super good album now, and the last time I was able to actually find it was, I think, 2018 or 2019. Reddit. Now, I'm hoping, somebody said they had it. I think, actually, yeah, John's Bevere said he has that folder that has, like, all the stuff from the MySpace days, at least vflaw.net. So I'm hoping he sends it to me immediately so I could put it up on YouTube. That way everyone can hear it again. Anyways, after VFlaw had ended, it was briefly revived as Hack the Music, which was short-lived, and that ended as well. Now, the reason why vflaw.net had gone down is apparently Role Model and somebody, I don't remember who, but they gave a certain person the password for the website and they deleted everything. And then I remember that happening. They started it up again and picked off where they left off, and then they did the same thing again and gave the password to the same person, and guess what he did? He deleted everything again. And that was the end of vflaw.net by that time. Heck, like I said, Hack the Music. Other than Hack the Music, the only other thing we had was VIP Dudes, which was the Squish Squash Squad's forum for a brief moment a few years ago, which was, there wasn't that many members, and it was short-lived as well. So now hope when there is none. I have good news. The website formerly known as nerdcorenow.com, which originally was Rhyme Torrents ever since about 2000 and 2001. Rhyme Torrents has been the premier website for all your nerdy music needs. They went down in about 2009 and swapped to Nerdcore Now, which had Nerdcore Now Volume 1, while Rhyme Torrents had reached Volume 9, which is missing. If anybody can find it, please send it to us so that we can put it on the website again. Volumes 1 through 8 and the Halloween stuff and bonus stuff is still intact. Currently, Don Vito, who's the newest member of the Squish Squash Squad as well, is running the website, and he's brought it online again for the first time in 10 years in 2019. We're back up to about 60 or so members, when originally we had about 3,000. Originally we had 3,000 members. I'm hoping we could reach that level again soon, and Don says as soon as Rhyme Torrents Volume 10 is released, it'll probably start bringing traffic to the website again. That way all the musicians have a music forum as a home. The Squish Squash Squad podcast is still active. It originally started in about 2006. The original episodes are lost. The episodes that I still have, some of which were lost because of Google Drive. Everything that was still saved, I salvaged and have uploaded it to YouTube. And new episodes, expect them soon. The Squadcast is going to live on. And the Squish Squash Squad in general is getting stronger with new members and is now officially working with Rhyme Torrents. It's our official new forum, and it's probably going to stay that way for quite some time. A lot of the main bands are releasing new albums for the 2020s, and Squish Squash Squad's volumes 1 through 6 are currently finished. Volume 7 should be released relatively soon, once some of the bands, such as Electric Dragon, once they release their new albums first. Then Volume 7 will be released shortly after. I hope everyone liked the documentary and that it gave you a good stroll down memory lane, and that you are reunited with some of your favorite underground musicians. Make sure to join rhymetorrents.org and make it your new official music forum. Expect new albums from the musicians, as well as new episodes of the Squadcast, and Rhyme Torrents Volume 10 and the Squish Squash Squad Volume 7. That is your history update for February 21st, 2021. I've been your host, David Blake Mercer, aka DD Mac. And oh, by the way, I also have a new album of my own that's coming out soon. It's with Don Vito. He had asked me to make it with him, and it's featuring a lot of special guests. The Squish Squash Squad presents Nerd Lab 2021. And also, I'm currently working on a new album called Gruesome, somewhat of a follow up to the Cookie Monstrosity. It's going to be heavy metal. Keep checking the channel for more updates and new videos.